Hi, everybody. It is Jay back again for the third version of taking a look at what's going on with Season 17, Temptation Nation. And if you've been watching the first two videos, you will notice that I have someone who is helping me with this. So I would like to introduce her and have her tell you who she is in my life. So, Andrea?
Hi, Jay. Hi, everybody. My name's Andrea Kao, and I've been doing these webisodes with Jay on Temptation Nation. And the great thing about this is the opportunity that I've had to work with Jay. I am his motivational coach. I am, his core performance coach to help him achieve that lively, vibrant lifestyle that he's always desired to have, no matter where he goes in life. And so we've been working together since July. We had a meeting back in February, and it was really interesting because we both have a passion for running. Mine was a little bit stronger than his, and so I kept asking him, what's your training plan? What's your training plan? How are you going to get there? Let me show you one. Let me help you get there, because I love people that like to achieve things for themselves. It's about what do you want, and I help you and partner with you and Jay to achieve that goal. And so when we first started off on our journey together, his whole process was about becoming a runner and training for the New York City Marathon. And that very first time we actually had a conversation, the whole process of what I do to help him and others is really understand what is the result you're expecting when you want to achieve this want. What is the motivation behind it? What is going to happen in the end? And for him, he felt if he was able to do this, he was going to become his authentic self. And it was related to losing weight and getting healthy and being vibrant at his new age. And so this is what we started talking about. And the ironic part was in that very first coaching session, I coached him right out of running the New York City Marathon. And we fast forward 6 months later, 6.5 months, and now Jay has lost over 25 pounds. He's done this all on his own. We have had conversations about what does he desire? What influences his decision? It's not that easy, and he realizes it, and that's why I'm a partner to him. So when he has good times, when he has tough times, he learns the lessons and he moves forward. And that's why we're here doing these webisodes, because we want you, the audience who's watching this, to understand all of this is achievable for you at home as well. In your personal reality every day, just because you see it on a show doesn't mean you can't do it yourself. It's about understanding what you really want versus what you think you have to or need to. Understanding what impacts your decisions to make the choices to either progress yourself forward or fall off. And so we're going to help and continue through the rest of this season until the end of February to really discuss and help you see what you can achieve at home.
Thanks, Andrea. And what's great about that is that I know that there's lots of controversy at times when people are watching Biggest Loser, and sometimes people love the show, they hate the show, and then there's people that will be saying, every contestant gains all their weight back. And that's really not true. I mean, the show is no different than life. Anybody that's on Weight Watchers or Nutrisystem or paleo or any kind of a quote-unquote diet. And it's not that diets don't work. I mean, obviously they do, but it's not whether or not the diet works. It's really what's going on behind your thinking and your thought process. And so I'm coming up on 5 years in May after my finale of Biggest Loser. And so what I found, one of the big things that was really missing for me was I was trying to do a lot of this on my own for the past few years. And when this whole opportunity with Andrea came about, it was a great way for me to see what was missing in my life. And so Andrea's help and support, and you guys may know in the book that I wrote, Smartphone Fit, probably one of the key things that really has helped me since Biggest Losers is I've been out there and accountable and really made sure that I was really paying attention to what was going on. But I still had things that were blind spots, things that were missing. And Andrea's made an amazing difference in what's happened for me and really, looking at what the next level is and what I want to be able to accomplish in my life. So with all that background, we wanted to kind of bring everybody up to speed. We're going to talk about, as it's turned out, week 4 and week 5. Last week, I had thought we were just looking at episode 2, but it was actually episode 2 and 3 because they've condensed where in the past they would have like each week would be an episode. This time it's week 4 and week 5. And I think what's really neat about this season is that it's a great example of the reality of all of the things that go on in people's lives when you come back from a reality show where you didn't have any of those distractions. We're all faced with it every single day. And when kind of the lights go down from the show and you're faced with just your life, what is it you're going to pay attention to? So I'm really excited about what's been the conversation that's been going on this season. So with that being said, the first week 4, digital distractions, it's one of those areas that Andrea and I talk about a lot. I'm a big fan of having my iPhone and using it. It's a key component to what I use for being smartphone fit. I take pictures of what I do. I take videos of things. I text with my family. I make sure that I'm conscious of what's going on. But at the same extent, in this first challenge, they were showing that for everybody, I think they were saying that people, on average, it's 11 hours a day that people are in front of their digital device. And so what ends up happening is a lot of people get sucked into that. They're not paying attention to what's going on. So I've found, at least for myself, that when I use a tracker, it helps me a lot. It makes me get up and get out of my chair. It makes me move around. And that was one of the things we had on Biggest Loser. We were wearing a tracker every single day, and you really got to see what your burn was. So for me, I'm a big fan of that. I think the quantified self really makes a big determinant and big difference. Andrea kind of thinks sometimes maybe that, if you have that stressor that's there, and even in the Wall Street Journal today, they were talking about the fact that, digital tracking can stress people out. For me, it doesn't. I like it. It motivates me. But Andrea, how did you feel that happened, or how did you feel about that on the show this time?
Well, when you make the whole concept about you get to see your steps, where you're going, what you're doing, and everything, it now becomes a new obsession with achieving a number. And it's really more focused on getting that number again. Is it really achieving what you desire for yourself, right? So How vibrantly healthy are you if all you care about is a number? Just like when we first started talking, Jay, your whole concept is if you got to a certain weight, then you're going to be at your goal and your authentic self. Well, who are you without that?
Right.
What's your vibrant life without a number? There are so many times that people could see, you see people that focus on weight on a scale, and there are people that focus on how do my clothes fit? Not that there's a right or wrong, there's something for everybody, but if we all get super focused on achieving a specific number, then when you don't have it, something comes up, you get sick, you don't hit that number, what happens? So people start really beating themselves up when they don't achieve it. So it becomes a whole new way of a stress influencer that creates a choice that now you choose to beat up on yourself because you didn't achieve a number. So for some, it works. For some, when this happens and this influences them, it's a matter of helping people take a step back and reevaluate how they want to achieve that goal.
I got it. I mean, it makes sense. I've just found for myself that it just, I'm not obsessed with it. It just becomes this kind of thing in the background. And I've found that if I have it, I tend to just be even more aware. So, but like you said as well, what I found is, in addition to moving more, I also needed to do the strength training. And I really been off of that for the past couple of months. And yesterday was the first day I started training, doing strength training again with Thomas. And it's great. I like both of those aspects. I like the cardio and I like the strength. It's kind of that whole, you just feel better. At least for me, I find I feel better when I'm aware of what my body's up to and some of that.
And that's great because, one of the things we had talked about a couple of months ago is that you just, as long as you're moving, you're okay, as long as you're moving okay. And now you've gotten to the point of, I want more than just moving. So getting back into that strength training is really showing how that want really starts when it peaks, you're ready to go for it versus feeling, I know I have to. Yes, Andrea, I have to do strength training. It's, I really want it because I love how it feels. Yeah,
I really do. And so this particular digital distraction challenge, really, I know what that felt like because the challenge was whoever won, they either were going to choose the gym for a week or they were going to choose to be able to see their family. And I will tell you that after you've been there for a while, it is amazing how much you don't realize what it feels like to not have a connection to your family. And as you know, Andrea, my family is everything to me. I mean, I live and breathe. We're like joined at the hip. So for me, it was very stressful when I was away from my family for a long period of time. And even though Jennifer and I were together, it's still, we weren't really together because we were in a competition, and it was just a whole unusual way. So I really connected to what people were going through and the stress of that. And at the same extent, which I wasn't surprised, when Jen said, no gym, no problem, that's one of the things we definitely learned. A lot of times people think you have to go to the gym to work out. And season after season, if you ever watch the show, a lot of times it's really proven that, as you know, with your body weight, you can do all kinds of things. In fact, a lot of times body weight exercise is a lot more difficult, or free weights are a lot more difficult than in a machine that's assisting you. You have a false sense of strength. You don't have to worry about any of the other balance and things. So it was interesting to see that, that once again, you don't have to, use a gym. At the same extent, let's see, they won. I think Team Delvette, they won. They did win. And didn't they win? Yeah. Did they win, Andrea? I think they did.
No, that's the one that Richard went home. So Team Delvette won the challenge.
Right.
The technology challenge. Yes, correct. Sorry, I went forward to.
Yeah. They won that one. And Team Jen was talking to their family. And it's one of those things it's really, it's really tough for people. And also I know that what was happening when they were out in that Red Rock Canyon, they were excited to talk to their family, but I also knew that what was going to probably happen, which did happen, is their heads went out and they just kind of lost focus. And they really kind of started going downhill. And Jen had to really pull them back out of that, because the whole point was that was a temporary stressor that they were having, and something that they needed to remember why they were there. And I think it was a great example of, I know for myself that I have it happen, and I know they have it happen, where it's so easy to come up with some excuse or some reason of why, well, tomorrow or whatever. And from working with me, Andrea, I can go there as quick as anybody else. It's just one of those things that it's a conditioned response, and you can come up with every reason under the sun. But if you can switch to the other side, it's a lot more powerful when you're not living under, like, every time there's something comes up, well, next time or next time or next time. No, it really needs to be this time.
And so, this challenge, what I loved about it was the fact that they were giving the opportunity, okay, gym or family, and they said, I would love to see them, but I really need this gym. I really want this gym time. And in the end, it's something that I was thinking about yesterday as I was watching this happen. Yes, Team Jen got to see their family, but it was one moment of instant gratification, right, Jay? We talk about that. And how long did it weigh them down? Like, I got to see them. I got to see them. That's it. I didn't get to touch them. I didn't get to hug them. I didn't get to hold them. I'm missing out on so much. And that's all you're thinking about is, what are you now missing out on? Oh my God, what I would give to hug my significant other, to kiss my child, to hear them say, I love you, mommy. I love you, daddy. It's the world. And when you're watching him sing, was it Luis singing the ABCs to his child? It was just so hard. That's what he does. So now the next day, you just see them completely deflated. That sometimes instant gratification, while it seems great in the moment, in the long run, you're waiting for the next thing. And so this is where it was really spectacular that people sitting at home can watch that and really relate, because now they're saying, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't be around my children for a while. But yet, being on The Biggest Loser, and Jen said it to them, your family wants you here.
Yeah.
They want you to get healthy. And so when people at home think about, I would love to be able to go on this show, what you need to sacrifice is really, again, comes down to, what do you really want? A moment in time for something quick and gratifying, or a lifetime of having everything that you've ever wanted?
And the thing that also came up for me in that particular week was Colby and Colby's story. They didn't get into it a lot, but the fact that I guess his father committed suicide, and Colby had to clean up whatever had happened. And I've unfortunately had some people that I've known that have gone through suicide, and some of the things that people go through. And I really related a lot to what Colby was talking about, because He seemed like me in many regards because we both are very positive. We like to, he talked about he likes to have a good day every single day. If he gets out of bed, it's a good day. And I really understood what he meant because I'm kind of that way. And I did learn from Biggest Loser with Dr. Hogan, our psychiatrist that was on the show, that any of us that are morbidly obese, and I think for a lot of people, that we tend to repress. And I really did that a lot. And what Colby was kind of doing was repressing his emotions. And from the perspective of, he knows he's there. He knows he has some things to work through. And so it was a nice insight because, the fact that his father committed suicide, that he had to clean it up, all that, that's, even though you can kind of seem like you're stepping over that and you're moving on, a lot of that still stays there forever. And I think that the sheer fact that he opened up and started to share that is really going to be a breakthrough. And if he can keep that coming out from what's in his head, it will help in the long run. But definitely that's an area where I've met lots of people that have had challenges with their emotions and with their weight and their eating. And usually there's something behind that they either don't know about or they're just trying to act like they're over it. And a lot of times people aren't really over it. And that's why sometimes you need a coach to help you go through that process of kind of really getting that out. So I really like those insights that Colby shared with a lot of people. And obviously it was very motivating for everybody else. I will tell you that I was surprised and not surprised that in that weigh-in, wrapping up week 4, Richard goes home. And part of it from a lot of even our Biggest Loser alumni, we have our own little Facebook page and we kind of talk behind the scenes. We all kind of we didn't think Richard would last that long because yes, he had weight to lose, but he's like 6'3". He's got a lot of muscle in his body. He didn't have tons of excess weight. And, obviously it just didn't work out for him, but he's a handsome guy. He's pretty fit. He's a strong competitor. And I have a feeling that when the finale comes around, he's going to look like $1 million. I think he's going to do really, really well. He's not, and hopefully he won't lose so much weight that he's losing much muscle mass, but I think he'll look really good.
I agree with that. I think it was very interesting because there was a point in time where Richard was like, I don't need the gym. I would love to talk to my husband. I don't need the gym. I lose my weight swimming. And then here he is in that way and he goes home. So it was very interesting to see how did that impact him and how he showed up in his performance. He didn't get his way. And so now, and he didn't put forth the effort he normally does. Now I could be making a judgment that was a reason behind it. That's not the intention. But it just was very interesting to see that he's had to put up some big numbers. And the one time that he didn't get to have what he wanted, again, that instant gratification ended up really having an impact.
Yeah, and when you said that about the swimming, I do know you can burn a lot of calories swimming. But at the same extent, one of the things that, unless you're, Michael Phillips, I'm not sure that you're really burning as much as he may think he was, unless he was really working out like crazy. And sometimes, as you know, it requires different actions and different muscle sets and things to really, fire up your metabolism. So who knows? But yeah, definitely Richard went home and that was a little bit of a surprise. So we'll see how he looks when he comes back.
Yeah. And then you have the next impact, which is, it's great. This episode was so wonderful because it was constant impacts and things that were influencing everybody. Like, because immediately now all of a sudden, let's change it all up. And now we're switching teams. Oh my gosh. The whole way that you saw everybody's face and the internal panic and the freaking out, it's because things got very uncomfortable very quickly for everyone. And that is great, because of the whole thing of growth happens when you get out of your comfort zone. And I think Bob mentioned something to that effect of how, you got to get uncomfortable all the time. Life is not comfortable. Life is constantly changing. And it's just a matter of how do you want to choose to show up when it changes, and what is that want of yours, and how is it going to continue to drive you to that result and achieve that goal of yours. So this is really cool, this part.
Yeah, week 5 for me was really related to it because, and I actually want to reflect upon it. I think it had a big reason why, for the most part, Jennifer and I have been very successful almost 5 years later after the show, because we ended up getting tossed around like a ping pong ball. I think Jennifer had the most team color changes in the history of Biggest Loser. I think she had 6 different shirts, because in our season it wasn't just red or black, but we were the green team, and there was an aqua team and blue team and brown team and all. And so we got tossed back and forth. So I will tell you that when Jennifer and I first got switched to the other team away from Bob and Jill, it was horrifying. I mean, it was because everything we'd wanted to do at that time, we wanted to be with Bob and Jill. So when I saw everybody going through that, it just reminded me of it. You get so open and vulnerable when you start to go on a journey of wellness, and you want it all to go perfectly, and you want everything to stay the same. You somehow think that if everything just works okay, you'll be okay. And I do think that this was a great example. People really pay attention to this. And I think Jen said it a little bit later on, that's one of the things that, this is Jen said it and Bob said it, and I know Dolvette believes the same thing. This is really where change happens. And I think the more a person is willing to embrace the unknown, the unexpected, and really not like it and be able to still muscle through it, those are the things that you remember later on that drive you over those things, even when you argue for your weakness at times. So I loved that whole thing that they did with changing the coaches up. And I will tell you, when everybody saw the challenge with the shipping containers, that was not easy. When you're really overweight, like that stuff is, I can tell you that took a lot longer than it showed on TV. That took a long time to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I know that really was very tough on everybody. I know, let's see. Jen had said in that about the whole trainers, when everybody came back in the gym, she said, this is life, everything's perfect, and then everything gets changed up. And I think that once again, it was the place that really, I think that's when everybody goes from being on the show and getting comfortable. Just about the time you do get comfortable, they screw stuff up for you. And that is what happens in life. It's much more dramatic there, but that is what happens in everything. And I know that's one of the things you coach me through. It's much smaller stuff, but it's like, okay, my family's getting together. We're going to go out to eat. And I'm like, we're going out to eat, Andrew. It's not a big deal, but you keep stacking those not a big deals on top of the next thing. And it is a big deal. You just stay stuck, or you gain weight or whatever, or you're upset because you didn't, supposedly do what you said you wanted to do.
And that is really big. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's something that people go through at home. It's like you live and you're comfortable and you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden it's like, I have a party to go to. Oh, we're going out to dinner with friends, and nobody prepares for these things. And it's like, okay, it's just one time. And then it ends up being more like, for you, your family is your centerpiece. And we had this conversation the other day of, well, what is everything that we talk about when you get your family together? What does it revolve around? And,
food.
Yep, exactly. You said it. And so when we really brought that out and really started focusing on the attention of how food is the centerpiece of your life with your family, how do we change that environment? Time to make that very uncomfortable for you. And so we did. We really started focusing and talking about it. And so now you're in that process of doing it. So what will result in a couple of weeks from now? Who knows? You may enjoy it. You may not. You may get angry with me again, and that's okay, because it's that uncomfortableness. And people have to allow themselves. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, because Lauren said something really amazing when she was going up on the scale, that she's facing feelings she hasn't had to in a long time, and she doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And that is huge when you start working through that and start allowing yourself to deal with the feelings, address them, really see what are all those opportunities that are coming out of it. She said a couple of things to Erin. She's prettier than me. She's this than me. She sings better than me. All these things. She was putting her on a pedestal and putting herself down. Yeah. When we get uncomfortable, the first thing we do is beat ourselves up, instead of thinking about all the great things that we can contribute. So all the things that Lauren could contribute to that team was no longer her focus. She was now in fear. But on the other side, you're seeing Erin was talking to Jen about, like, I'm the only one who is not historic team Jen. Like, I have all the disadvantages. So you see both sides of uncomfortableness makes us fear everything. And we go back into that little catabolic shell where we're victim to everything. And so when we finally overcome these feelings, that's when we really start to shine and really start to grow. And you have done so much of that in the past 6 months, and it's awesome, and I love it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that is, if I had to say that there's one thing that's really been the most consistent thread for myself or other people that I've met that have made a transformation in their wellness, it is a conversation. I know I beat this like a dead horse at times, but it is, coaching is really, it's a give and take back and forth between the coachee and the coach. And it is centered around conversations. It's centered around things where you acknowledge success. It's centered around the frustrations, the things you get pissed off about. As long as you can stay in the conversation, there will be a breakthrough. That is the hard part. That is the part that I find, and I agree with you. When I saw Lauren saying what she said, I was thinking of you immediately, because it's like, that's exactly what we've talked about before, really getting clear that it's actually okay to not like certain things and to let them be said. And sometimes I've said to you at times where I just need to feel a sense of freedom that I can tell you this without any repercussions. And I know when it's coming out of my mouth, it's stupid. It's not really smart. It's not, whatever you want to call it. When I say it's stupid and not smart, it's like, it's that, because I've also put judgment on it, or I'm feeling guilty about something, or shit. It's like all that shit that you have that comes out of your head, it's all wrapped up. But sometimes you got to get it out of your mouth, put it on the table, put it on a plate in front of somebody else. And when you can look at it that way, like what you and I will do a lot of times in a conversation, I'm just kind of blowing off, all of a sudden I really see something, and it may be a breakthrough then, or it might take 2 or 3 times, like an exercise, 2 or 3 moves, 2 or 3 times to go through that until finally I don't have it owning me. And I think that's a lot of what's happened with you and I, is there's a lot more freedom. You know, I'm big on freedom. I need my freedom. The freedom has come from another layer of being willing to be honest and open with somebody like yourself. And then you've given me freedom by letting me be really shitty at you at times and letting me just get stuff out. Sometimes I'm going, she's just going to shut this thing down and hang up on me. And you just hang in there like Bob does, or Dovette does, or Jen does. They don't give up on a person. And you need that in a coach, because we will give up on ourselves so fast, so quick. It takes a while for somebody to get over that. So that I agree with you, between what Erin was talking about. And I also love that Erin, you know, and I think she was genuine. She said to Lauren, like, look, I'm going to be there. We'll work on this together. And that's critical. Big difference when that happens, when you have somebody that will help you walk through that as well.
Yeah, I thought that was great that she offered up and said, let's do this together. You and I will be partners. We'll get there. And I think that is great that she was able to create that new environment that immediately had an impact on Lauren right then and there. You know, you can see it. She was surprised, but I think overall, it's going to be something even more significant. And, you know, to the point of what you were saying, that of all the times that you thought I was going to give up on you, and that's what this coaching relationship is. And that's most important for people to understand. When you say you want something and you're willing to do it, the person that's going to be there, me, as your partner, that's going to help you achieve what it is, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to judge anything you're feeling, because your feelings belong to you and I have no right to judge them. But the most important thing is being there in good times and bad, and helping you continue on your journey for you. And so this process doesn't work if it's only roses and bubblegum. You know, it has to work when there's rain and storms and everything else. That's when all that growth happens. When you come through the storm and you really start saying, it's okay to deal with all of this. And that relationship, it takes time. It's trust. It's the integrity. And that's what's really important about when working with someone who is a coach, to help you get where you want to be, because it's all about you, Jay. You're the person who wants it. It's not my goals. It's your goals. I'm just here to help you get what you want and how long you want to be there.
And I think it's really important that people, if they're looking for a coach, that they actually interview somebody and find out if that's their philosophy. Because, and I know I've said this before, but you know, when Jillian had said to all of us, you know, don't surrender your power to anyone else. I think, unfortunately, a lot of times when people go to certain gyms, or they get certain trainers, or they start on a program, they actually lose their power, because they somehow think that if they don't have that, then what happens is they're not going to be successful. And that is a real big problem. I will tell you, don't start from that place, because it won't work. Because as soon as that person leaves or whatever, there's a life circumstances that can stop something like that. That's why I like how you coach me, is I default to it at times, and I'm sometimes say something, well, what would you like me to do? And you're like, I don't care what you do. It's like, and that doesn't mean that you don't care, but it is like, you get me back to the point of, you're there to serve what I'm trying to do, what I say that I want, what I want to create or whatever. And you just relentlessly, you keep reminding me about that. And I tend to go back at times and go, well, maybe you're not going to like this, or I don't want to tell you this because you're going to be upset. And you're like, I'm not upset. And it's like, and I just forget that it's taken me a while to keep being reminded that this is all about me. And it's not selfish, but for me to make that transformation, I have to own all of it, all the good things, all the bad things, all the stressors, all whatever. And your job is to be like that pilot. You're going to get me to land safely in a place that I would say that I want to go to. And we're going to go through some turbulence. I mean, we go through some turbulence. Sometimes we both need the oxygen mask to come down, like, whatever. But yeah, I think that week 5 was a great example of a lot of that. And to the extent that people really get that they own their journey, and those people are only there, the trainers, and the show is only there to facilitate an amazing, life-changing opportunity, but it is their journey, and they need to leave there with that being what they accomplished, not because Dolvett was the best trainer or Jen was the best trainer. And you do get hooked into that when you're in the midst of that particular show.
And that's really big of when you talk about when people who watch the show say, oh, this reality, people, I don't like watching the show anymore because people gain all their weight back. Again, when you say it's your journey, again, I've been saying this and I'm going to say it every single time we're on here. It's your choice, whether you're on the show, whether you're at home, or whether you're at a fitness camp, runaway, whatever it might be. Yeah. It always comes down to your choice, the one who wants to get healthy, the one who wants to feel vibrant, the one that wants to live life as freely as possible. How much do you want it, and what are you willing to do to create that dream life that you want? So it's your choice, and that's what it all comes down to in the end.
So we're going to wrap this up in a little bit, not too much longer. I will tell you, I'm loving the Last Chance challenges. I absolutely love those. I just think they're neat to see, and I think it's really a great way for people to really get competitive back and forth, and I think it's a healthy competitive. I will also tell you that every time, it may be my namesake, Jacob's, with the Jacob's Ladder, that thing, yeah. I hate that thing. I think I don't know anybody that would ever want to do it. There's the form of doing that, I don't know how to describe it, but it's horrible. It's hard to grip and whatever. So,
Felicia did great on that. She did hers. She
like
went, she attacked it, and I'm an animal. It's like, what a huge turnaround in her, all in like a matter of weeks. And she's like, I got this, bam. And
yeah, she was like a cat. I mean, she was amazing on the thing. But I got to tell you, I hated that stuff. And then I was also laughing because of the assault bike. I'd never seen that until I'd gone to, Hero's Journey CrossFit with Thomas and that stupid Airdyne and assault bike. And it's harder than it looks, because I love spinning. I like doing it, but that thing is a lot harder than it looks, and also it's not very forgiving on calories. Like, you got to burn a lot to get like an inch of calorie out of that thing. And I know it's not the numbers, but it's like your brain does get used to how much you burn supposedly on certain machines. On an Airdyne, man, it takes a lot to get 100 calories out of that thing is like a nightmare, So I was laughing while that thing's going off and going like, oh, Andrew's watching that thing and what she's saying, because she knows I'm not really a big fan of that. I mean, it's okay, but I don't know, it's the motion of it just doesn't. I can't seem to really get as much beef out of the thing as I like to. And what I do want to say is that in that week 5 for me, having watched the show for a long time, there are times that I will cry and tear up about some things. Not that much anymore, having been on the show or whatever. But I have to tell you that it was such a deja vu experience for me to experience with Sarah and her father. And it's exactly what happened to Jen and I when, I went home and I got to come back, and Jen and I were together, and it was like the greatest thing. We were back together, and then we had that weigh-in, and it was the red line, and it's like, oh my God, all of a sudden she's going home, and I was in the same spot Rob was. It was just like that's why I went home the first time, because it was either she or me, and I had that ability to say, look, let me go. I'll go home, because I could. It was going to be one of us. In that particular case, the depth of pain that man felt was excruciating. I know exactly what that was like, because there was Jennifer, week 13. Now, she made it to week 13, and all of a sudden she's below the red line, didn't lose a pound, which was like unbelievable for her not to lose. And she's gone, and that was it. And I was left all alone. And so I think that whole way that they show the family, I mean, you know me, I'm a sucker for the family element, but it is the big untold story that happens on Biggest Loser a lot of times, is that when people leave, depending on whatever the people have as a connection when they get home, back to when you talk about environmental stressors, I do know for Jennifer and I, it has been such a gift that she and I had that amount of time together, because we have experience something that we can support each other on. So a lot of times when I'm talking to people or trying to help them, I'm also trying to find ways that people can connect in their family, because it is that one place that more people fall apart when they're not really able to get supported by their family. And then, as you know, my family is very supportive, but we still, in our support of each other, we also love to go out and eat. And now I'm trying to figure out a whole new way for us to go to a new level of wellness by us actually not having food center as much as it doesn't center as much as it used to, but it still is there and it's still present. And it's one of my goals that I'm going to really accomplish in this year, is really to be able to have a much more, what I would say, strong consciousness about really getting clear about what we're doing when we go out to eat. And it's an area that you've been helping with as well. I
love it.
Yeah. So Sarah went home. It was very sad. I do want to reach out to Sarah and her dad, because I relate so much to that story. And what I loved at the end, which is real Bob, Bob says to Sarah, and that reminded me of what you said to me as well, is that Bob said to Sarah, every single day matters, everything you do, every choice. And, as he said, he wants to see Sarah come back at the finale and just blow people away with her transformation. And from what I've seen online, what she's been up to, I really have a feeling that both she and her dad are going to do amazing. And I'm excited to be able to meet them at the finale and give them both big hugs, because, being a dad, I feel their pain and what they're going on with. And I look forward to be able to supporting them and all the cast members after the show as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And, what you already saw of Sarah at home, I mean, she became such a strength and such an inspiration, just a short few weeks of not believing I'm not worth it to, wow, I am unstoppable. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So thanks again, everybody. We have now wrapped up 3 videos for Biggest Loser Season 17, Temptation Nation. And we will be back next Tuesday with our recap from next Monday night. So have a great week, and love to hear from you guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.